Oh, howdy all, grab yourself a drink. It is time for some Path of Exile 1 discussion. In the lead up to patch 3.27 going live, which is just a few hours away as I'm recording this video, I've had a number of people ask me what I am intending to play. Well, with the very late information that we got on some of the new gems, I am actually inspired to play some of them. However, I do not recommend copying this verbatim as yet. This is not a battle-tested plan. This is simply a plan. I feel like there is a cohesive build in here, but I also feel like this is going to need extensive refinement in order to become a good build. So, if you're the sort of person that is looking for something tried and tested and absolutely and utterly proven, then maybe go and check out Pox or Fearless Dumbo. But if you're looking for something that is a little bit different and that's going to take advantage of some of the new skills that are being added in patch 3.27, and ultimately, because it's an elementalist, if it turns out that it is absolutely and utterly terrible and unsalvageable, you can always just respec it into any of the proven elementalist builds out there, then this build might just be for you. So let's go through the overarching plan. Firstly, let's talk about the skills we're going to be using. We're going to be using a Golem package. We're using everything except the Chaos Golem. Honestly, the Chaos Golem would be good for us as well, and if we do get rich, one of the optional upgrade packages is going to be to pick up 3 copies of Primordial Eminence and also 1 copy of the Anima Stone. This package will allow us to then go and add a 5th Golem into the build and also get a very large boost to the amount of Golem effect that you're getting. So that package will then also give us a whole chunk of Chaos Resistance as well. Chaos Resistance is really good unless and until we decide that we want to change our plans a bit and go Chaos Inoculation. But on lower gear, you probably don't want to do that. Flame Golem, Ice Golem, Lightning Golem, Stone Golem. This is the power of the Elementalist Ascendancy at the moment, and you can do all of that. Next, we have the Herald package. So we're going to be using Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder for certain, and we're probably going to be using Herald of Ash as well. Herald of Ash, way worse than the other two, but it's still something that provides a little bit of a bonus there, and it's going to be better for certain weapons than it is for others. So Herald of Ice and Herald of Thunder, they don't really care how good your weapon is, and they also don't really care about much else about your build. But Herald of Ash, it does care, and the more physical damage that your weapon does, the better Herald of Ash gets. So this is something you can easily drop as well. Consider this a bit of a flex slot. You can easily drop Herald of Ash and replace it with a utility reservation. For example, you could easily replace this with Purity of Elements to solve a problem, or you might decide to replace it with Purity of Ice if your gear points you in that direction, or alternately you could replace it with Grace, you could replace it with Discipline. There's lots of different options that are available there. Alternately, Wrath. Wrath will provide you with quite a lot of damage here. Now, we have the Power Siphon package, but it's actually Somatic Shell. At the time that I'm recording this video, there is no support in Path of Building for Somatic Shell. So I have gone and placed Power Siphon in instead. Now, you're going to want to put this in conjunction with Elemental Damage with Attacks, Sacred Wisp, Inspiration, and Trinity to start with. But all of these, everything we say here is going to change. Honestly, all these are just placeholders, and you want to test a bunch of different supports out here because you can work out the mathematically best support in various circumstances. That doesn't really take into account some of the specific things that come up when you're playing the game. So because this is all being recorded prior to the game going live, we can't actually test this out. We're not certain. Kinetic Fusillade. I'm going to be linking this to Elemental Damage with Attacks, Fork, and Trinity. That's the initial plan. No plan survives first contact with the enemy though, and I wouldn't be surprised if we end up changing Fork to something else. However, this is my initial plan. Now, where you notice that we're using Trinity support a lot here. Trinity support is one of those really complicated support gems. This provides a very large amount of more elemental damage and also elemental penetration. It's incredible, but it is also very conditional. Now, what you want to be doing in order to get Trinity to work, you need some of your hits to be primarily cold damage. Some of the hits need to be primarily lightning damage. Now, this is somewhere where Herald of Ash can sometimes potentially even get in the way. If Herald of Ash is doing too much damage, then you might find a situation where you're dealing more fire damage than cold or lightning almost all the time. And in that situation, Trinity support might not work. So if that becomes the case, you're going to want to change things around. You can use increased critical strike support as an alternative here, and you can also use increased critical damage support as an option here. So if Trinity isn't working for whatever reason, and the way you'll know it's not working is by looking at the indicator that appears in your character's buff bar, then you can always change it around. Next, we have Shield Charge. We are definitely going to be using Wand and Shield here because Wand and Shield It's not that it deals more damage, it's that it lets you move around faster. Shield charge, faster attacks, culling strike. We'll use this with some sort of shield. The exact details of the shield are not really clear yet. Now, in terms of the defenses we're going to be building into the character, on the tree, this is not going to be either a total glass cannon build, but nor is it going to be tanky either. This is going to be a middling tankiness build. And the defenses come primarily from our golems. Golems provide you with substantial buffs, and Stone Golem in particular provides you with an enormous amount of both life regeneration and also of global defenses. On top of that, we're going to be freezing quite a bit, and especially once we get Heraldry on a cluster jewel, we're going to be freezing even more. Heraldry is ridiculously good when you can get your hands on it. This is just going to provide a tremendous amount of additional damage once you can get it going. Now, a couple of little problems that might not be immediately apparent here, and also a couple of decisions I've made that people might think, I'm not sure he's made the right decision here, but I want to explain why I've done it. Firstly, we're going through Cruel Preparation because we do need life. Even though we are ultimately in a position where we might eventually decide to take Chaos Inoculation, we're not taking Chaos Inoculation early. If we do take CI at some point, then obviously we are going to pick up this Power Charge Duration node and then go 1, 2, 3, 4, all gone. Those 4 nodes are all gone, but we pick up this Power Charge Duration, or maybe even this 10 Intelligence. Whatever we do is going to then allow us to then cut out these points that we're using here as pathing, and also provide us with a bunch of additional defense against chaos damage. Next, we are taking Disciple of the Forbidden. I have not allocated a charge mastery. However, most of the time, you're probably going to want 100% increased charge duration. One of the plans I am experimenting with here, though, and that I haven't actually completely committed to, I probably want to go with 3 of the Grand Spectrum jewels. This seems like it's going to be a build that will do very, very well from having an Endurance Charge Grand Spectrum, a Frenzy Charge Grand Spectrum, and either a Power Charge Grand Spectrum or just something else. And there's a lot of variants that you could use for that 3rd Grand Spectrum. That is going to be something that will provide a lot of just general damage to the build. Now we also have Discord Artisan here and a bit of a Herald package. The purpose of this Herald package is that we will eventually, and not necessarily early, but we will eventually allocate the Lycia Ascendancy. Lycia's Ascendancy, which might require beating a level 83 Sanctum. We don't know this at the time that I'm recording this video. That is then going to provide us with a tremendous boost to the effect of our Heralds, especially if we can juice up the amount of reservation that they impose on us. Once we do that, we might want to consider using Essence Worm. Other things that we're going for here, you'll notice a couple of accuracy clusters, not that one. This one is an accuracy cluster, depth perception, and we are also taking Acuity down here. Do not skimp out on these. You really need accuracy on a wand build. Even though you have your Ice Golem providing you with a chunk of it, you still need more. And most importantly of all, we have the Attacks Fire an Additional Projectile, and we have the wand equivalent, which is not this one mastery, it is this one mastery. Wand Attacks Fire an Additional Projectile. This gives us 2 additional projectiles. This is the reason that we're not locked into using one of the gems that is dedicated to providing that exact stat. So, these are my preliminary thoughts. This is what I want to do. My first labyrinth is going to be set up to be something along these lines, and then my 3rd labyrinth, something along these lines. After that, we're going to have a lot of time to work out exactly where it goes, but those are my plans. Plans never survive first contact with the enemy, but this is exactly where I want to go as we go into patch 3.27. Somatic Shell might not be good. Kinetic Fusillade might not be good. If one of those is the case, then we do have the fallback of jumping back to Power Siphon, because Power Siphon is very, very much tried, tested, and proven as at least a mid-tier Wander skill. And if everything ends up catastrophically bad, then we have the ability to just do a thoroughgoing respec, a comprehensive respec of the entire tree, and shift over into the fun Eviscerate Ignite build that I played in 3.26. That's my fallback. Honestly, I do love that build. I'd be happy to play it again, but I wanted to try something different and I wanted to try some new skills. So that's my plans here. Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. I would say fire away with your questions down below in the comments, but I am going to go to sleep because it is league starting in 9 hours, less than 9 hours. I need to get my beauty sleep. Otherwise, I'm going to be a complete and utter mess when it comes time to actually playing this build, leveling it, and getting myself into endgame and seeing whether this is a catastrophe or whether this is something fun or whether this is the build of the league. May your Varlorbs have interesting results.